Police Department and in their grants division, and as a result of not knowing which police grants were filtered to the township, at this point in time I'm not comfortable with voting on those bills. Solicitor's report.
I have nothing for the public tonight. Thank you.
Administration.
A comment on the tree lighting on the 9th. If you came out for that event, it was very well attended. I was very pleased with the amount of people that came out and supported this this event. Public Works did do a great job on putting the tree up and preparing the park, and Recreation did a great job in coordinating the whole event. We brought in the Jenkins family on this event and allowed them to participate in the actual tree lighting, as the Jenkins family was very involved in past events at that park when the tree was put up and actually purchased through the Lions Club, and the whole program was probably spearheaded by Charlie Jenkins and Donna Fay Jenkins, who were members of the Lions Club at that time. So we just felt it fitting that they come and be a part of this, and with Donna Fay's recent passing, we wanted to recognize her support over the years for that program. And it was very well attended. Everything went off without a hitch, meaning the tree lit when we got to 0, so everything worked fine. The tree looks fine down there. Bayberry Park is just about done. We are at a point where we believe we're going to open it maybe this week, and we'll have maybe a ribbon cutting. Recreation wants to do a little ribbon cutting next week, 3 o'clock on Friday the 30th. So they want to invite some residents out there and open the park officially and recognize the Public Works employees that put a lot of hard time into that park. They did build this park themselves, and it was coordinated by the Director of Recreation. So we're excited about that. And, we're left with, I believe, a little bit of walkway, some minor touch-up, and the floating dock. We're not doing that little bit of walkway that's left because we have to get to the floating dock that's going to go in. So, just a little bit of work at the beach side, but the other side of the park looks really sharp. They paid the entrance to the Nesbitt driveway, the parking lot, second parking lot down here at the football field. They're actually putting in the second football field, the fencing for the second football field down there now, and they have a little bit left on the wood side to do in the posting, and then they'll stretch the fence out and get the fence up for that and the goal post. We have a little bit of work left to do at the entrance where they just paved some stone work around the basins, and we'll be finished up there. That finished up our paving program for the year. We don't expect any more paving unless we get a really good run on some warm weather, and we know we got a couple weeks and the plants are going to be open. We may go after another one, but right now our plan is to put the equipment away until next year. They did, was it about 4.5 miles? Roughly 4.5 miles of roadway this year. A little actually under, and that's a lot of roadway in a municipality when you're talking just streets, not, this isn't like our county roads or anything. These are just residential streets, and they did a lot of paving along with drainage work. Some serious drainage work up around Arabella that had to be done. They just finished up on Rhode Island. They had some really complex drainage issues that they dealt with up there on Rhode Island, and we paved a portion of that. We'll get back and finish that paving up next year for the rest of Rhode Island. But these guys, they're running into complications as they go along, problems, and they solve these problems on the job, on the fly, such as Rhode Island. as an example, they find a 6-inch gas main in an area that was unexpected, and it was conflicting with the design that they had for setting their drainage, and these guys worked around that. That's pretty serious stuff, and they got right through it, made the adjustments, on the job, and finished that off, and now that's paved, and the drainage should work up there now to alleviate that one section that's always flooded right there on Rhode Island.
So just to interrupt a second, Rhode Island, that's unpaved at this time?
No,
No, it's paved.
Oh, it is paved?
no,
Okay.
no, it's paved. Yeah, we just had to mill up a section, put in some drainage to take care of that spot that's been holding water, and then cross it across the street and down in along the shoulder with basically seepage pits as we do out there in Presidential Lakes, unfortunately. But that's the resolve. But they took care of it, and they got that done in time so they could get down to Nesbit. I had asked them to try and get the driveway. It took us so long to get through the county approval process at Nesbit. And we finally got that done, and I wanted to get that driveway done this year, and they went down there. As you can remember, we passed the curbing. Patzels went in and did the curbing a couple weeks back, got that done for us, and then we went in and did this paving and got it done. So that part's coming along, finishing up nicely. Well 11 it's still complete, except for the I think it's like a VMD, or it's a variable, it's like a throttle, I guess. Throttles the pump back and forth from when it needs it to not, but it does it automatically, and we don't have to go in there and turn it on and off when we need it. And they're waiting on that part, but they can still operate that well, which we haven't put it online yet. We've run the well, we run it once a week, just in a waste mode, just to run it. The company recommended that actually had the put in the filtration system for us, but they said we could run that well, but we'd have to manually operate it. So we're waiting on that device, which should be in, I believe he said somewhere around the 9th. They're expecting that of January. So then we can put that online, although that's not one of our high volume need times of the year, so it's not critical at this point. So we're going to just wait that out. And then the Scrapetown Road, the West End Park project is at Pinelands for a preliminary review. We're waiting on the results to see if we can go in with a final plan and get approval from them. The engineers have done the wetlands delineations and so forth that they felt were required to get an approval, but now we're getting just basically like a pre-game look at the project, so that we know we can submit the final plans going forward. And I did get a call from the governor's office. We are looking to receive 2 CDBG grants we have put in for. We were told verbally at this point we've been approved. We're waiting on the awards letters, but generally this is the heads up, you got a letter coming your way. Call that we always get on these grants. But we got a $175,000 for rehab work, homes, and we use that funding for residents in need, low and moderate income residents that have homeowner issues that they might not take care of because they can't handle, but it still needs to be done. Heater goes out, the roof needs repaired. We've had people that had their wells go bad and they're living on bottled water that they're bringing in. We're able to put new wells in, so we're glad to be able to help them through this program, and we got this grant to do that for $175,000. And we've got the other grant was for $400,000, and that grant is for the Lake Valley project, sidewalk project that we're doing over there. As you know, we only have well, two areas really designated with sidewalks in the township now. The Blueberry Manor section and the Lake Valley project are our two large sidewalk areas, not to count the one we just put in on Evergreen and a couple other small projects throughout the town. But we are required to have ADA accessible ramps on those corners, on all those sidewalks over there. So this will allow us, this is designated for that. This is one of the phases. It's going to be a multi-phase project. It's a very large project over there. We are still waiting on the Safe Routes to School, Safe Sidewalks to School grant that we applied for also, that would piggyback this and allow us to address some of the sidewalks over there. We've been told that that should be awarded shortly. Whether we get awarded or not, obviously we don't know until we hopefully get that call. But we're waiting on that grant also. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you. Council comments?
Want me to start it off?
Sure.
One thing I'd mentioned to council a few months ago, that I'd reached out to Congressman MacArthur at one of his coffees with a congressman get-togethers. And I had mentioned a couple things to him, but one of the things I had mentioned to him was Presidential Lakes Fire Department. The building's vacated, it's in sad shape, and I was wondering if there was any way to get federal funding to rehab the facility, or if it's past doing that, knocking it down and putting a new facility up. Somehow the communication got kind of garbled and it got lost. In the fall, we re-energized the request, and because it got overlooked or mistakes were made, the congressman kind of put a little extra push on it, which was nice, because I had congressional aides calling me at home and getting things moving, which was really good. I talked to one of the aides about a month and a half ago, and gave her all the information, and she said that she was going to submit it through FEMA. And then after we were talking, she said, you know, maybe I'll look at a couple other things too. And I got an email back from her and said that instead of going through FEMA, they were going to go through the Department of Agriculture. And I thought that was kind of funny, but that's just the way the federal government is. 20 years of military, you just can't predict what they're going to do sometimes. I've been waiting to see if we hear anything back, and I actually got an email today from them. It wasn't the good news I was hoping, but it did give us an option for other things. And what it recommended was go through the New Jersey DOA. And they gave me a telephone number to call, and I called the individual, and they referred me to a couple people over in Trenton. And they gave me their phone numbers and names, and I came in and talked to Dennis this evening before the council meeting, and re-explained everything and showed him the names, and he told me he's already been in contact with one or two of the people on this list in regards to the same thing. So hopefully, you know, with a little congressional input, maybe it'll help push things along a little bit. And I did give the rest of the council members the same copy of the email I received today and the same names and numbers, because I think we all know I won't be here next year. At the last council meeting, I had asked administration about the vehicles that were parked over in the field, and I asked how much we received for those cars, for the vehicles. And they did get back to me in a very timely manner. I think it was the very next day. And I think what it worked out to was, for scrap, we received roughly $250 a vehicle. And I know scrap prices go up and down, and they're all over the place. I personally think that if we would have held on to 2 or 3 of those vehicles for parts and auctioned off the other 10, we probably would have made a little bit more money than $250 a vehicle. But that's a personal thing. I'm not happy with what happened at the last council meeting, where I requested information about Chapter 3 of the Township Code, and that would be the properties and items owned by the township. According to Chapter 3, administration is required to provide us with a listing. For 2 years, we were not provided one. If I recall, one option was for me to go to the tax office and get a copy of that listing. That's not what the code provides for. I'm kind of upset that nobody else was asking about that, but that is what it is. And I'm going to go touch over a couple things because I'm not going to be here for a long time. There's also plans in the town of putting new homes in over in Browns Mills. And I think it's 52 houses. And I believe the median price of those houses is about $320,000 each. And I understand that, you know, this is a good tax revenue. It's about $250,000 in taxes a year. But when we have so many empty and vacant houses within the township, I think we should be focusing on those $150,000 homes instead of $320,000 homes that we hope to build. But that's just my thought. The other thing is that I disagree with is spending all of our UEZ money to purchase all the homes in the triangle or businesses in the triangle, hoping to bring in a developer to build another shopping plaza. With as many empty storefronts as we have in this town right now, I think the last thing we need is more storefronts. To go along with that, at the last council meeting, we had talked about the housing registration fees and how I thought that we needed to review that ordinance and look at that. I think there's some problems with that, but nobody else seemed to agree with me. The only thing that we're looking at now is possibly introducing a change to the ordinance at the beginning of the year to incorporate new registration fees for businesses. And you can call them registration fees, but I call them fines. If you're going to be fining our businesses for having empty storefronts, all you're going to do is pass the costs on to the people that shop in the businesses that are still open in those places, and you're going to send a message to people that want to bring businesses into the town that we're not business friendly. So I got a feeling that that's going to hurt us more than help us. The other thing that I want to touch on was kind of touched on earlier tonight by one of our residents. We have authorization for 57 police officers in this town. When I got elected last year in the special election, we had roughly 50. And I was really hoping that we could bring more police officers on the force. I pulled up a report that Chief Janice did in October, and we were down to 41 officers. And that includes 1 chief police, 3 lieutenants, and 3 detectives. So we're looking at less than 41 officers on the streets, because the chief's not going to be driving around doing that kind of stuff. It's just not his job description. We also had 3 people out on workman comp for this report. So we have less than 40 police officers out in the street. I find that very alarming, to be honest. The other thing I find sad is at the last council meeting, we did hire 1 part-time Class 2 officer, and everyone was very encouraged and very happy about that. But that 1 officer is replacing 10 that we've lost this year. I don't think that's a very good thing. The other thing I had brought up earlier this year, a couple of months ago, and it was talked about tonight, the West End complex. I still think Councilwoman Diane Stinney, for everything that she did within this township and everything that she did for the kids in this town, I really would hope that this council would support renaming that West End sports complex to something similar to the Diane Stinney Athletic Complex. I think that would be very appropriate for everything that woman did for this town. And lastly, as I said, this is my last council meeting up here. I remember 10 years ago or so, when I came up to the microphone for the first time as a resident, I was extremely nervous, and I'm extremely nervous tonight for some reason. I don't know why. Military teaches you how to speak in public. Donovan, I'm sure you will agree with that. But the first time I come up to the microphone, I was really nervous. And I stumbled through it. But then I come up more times and more times as I started to get more involved with the community. And with a miracle last year, I somehow won an election within this town. And I sit up here, and the first one I sit up on, I was really nervous. I talked to Miss Jackson about it. She kind of helped me get over the first night. And I've done pretty good, I think, controlling the nerves, until tonight. Tonight was most stressful meeting I've been at, because probably it's my last one. But I can say that I've sit up here for a year. I've tried to do what I thought the residents would want me to do. I believe I've maintained my integrity. And in closing, all I can say is Papa won.
Thank you, Chad.
The comment I have for, as far as renaming the Dominique Johnson to Zion Stinney, do you remember how long ago that building was already renamed for Dominique Johnson?
Not the Dominic Johnson, the West End complex.
Okay,
Soccer
then I
field.
stand corrected. All right, cool. My apologies.
I would never want to rename Dominic Johnson.
Okay, that's what I thought you were saying, that's why I was a little confused. Okay. The only thing that I have tonight is that I spoke to Miss Trueblood, and she really wanted to be here, but she is still recovering from her open heart surgery, so she sends her apologies, but she is still asking for everyone to keep her in her prayers so she can get back to her duties prayerfully in January. That's all that I have. Thank everyone for coming out. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and everyone be safe.
Mr. Cartier?
I would just like to wish everyone happy holidays and a very safe New Year.
Thank you. I'd just like to wish everybody a merry and blessed Christmas and a Happy New Year. Look forward to seeing you at the next meeting, which will be, I believe, January 4th. January 4th. And we will be having our reorg meeting
5:30.
at 5:30. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.